Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the SMA Victor. I am your host, Victor, aka Victor the Inspiration. And today we will be utilizing ChatGPT as our co-host. Let's get right into today's topic. Today's topic is, can a person with SMA have children? ChatGPT, I want you to be my co-host, and it says people with spinal muscular atrophy, SMA, can have children, and successful pregnancies with healthy babies are possible, though they require careful planning and a specializing multidisciplinary medical team due to potential risk like preterm labor, increased weakness, and C sections, with genetics playing a key role in family planning. Genetic counseling is crucial as individuals with SMA pass the gene to all children, making carrier screening and options like PGD or adoption important considerations for parents wanting to avoid passing on SMA.
Absolutely, Victor. Let's dive in. So, folks, today we're talking about the possibility of having children when you're living with spinal muscular atrophy. And like Victor just said, yes, it is entirely possible. It's all about having the right planning and the right medical support team in place. Now, one big piece of the puzzle is genetic counseling. Because SMA is a genetic condition, anyone with SMA will pass on the gene to their children. That doesn't mean every child will have SMA, but it does mean carrier screening and things like pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, if you go that route, can help you make informed choices. And of course, there are a few extra considerations during pregnancy. Things like managing muscle weakness, planning for possible C-sections, and making sure you have a team that's experienced with SMA. But all in all, it's definitely something that's possible and can be done safely with the right support.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to talk about as well, can a person with SMA have children? So if you are an individual who has SMA, yes, you can have children, but of course there are more risk factors involved, due to the challenges SMA presents upon us, right? But I also want to mention that, the inheritance pattern, SMA is recessive, meaning a child needs two copies of the faulty gene to have the disease. If one parent has SMA, all their children will inherit the gene and become carriers, but won't have SMA unless the other parent is also a carrier. So pretty much what I just read here and I just shared with you is that in order for an individual to be born with SMA, two parents, both the mother and the father, must carry the SMA gene. So, for example, if I have SMA, right, and I find a partner and she gets pregnant, right, and she's not an SMA carrier, our child will not have SMA. But because I have SMA and I find a partner and she becomes pregnant and she also carries the SMA gene, then the likelihood of our child having SMA becomes possible. So I wanted to share that with you guys. But there's a percentage factor behind that. So ChatGPT, what's the percentage of carrying the SMA gene? I believe it's 25%, if not more.
Yeah, you've got it pretty much spot on, Victor. The inheritance pattern for SMA is indeed autosomal recessive. So just like you said, for a child to actually have SMA, they need to inherit two copies of the faulty gene, one from each parent. In terms of the actual percentages, if both parents are carriers of the SMA gene but don't have SMA themselves, then there's about a 25% chance with each pregnancy that the child will have SMA. There's also a 50% chance that the child you'll be a carrier like the parents, and then a 25% chance that the child won't have the gene at all. So yeah, it's definitely a scenario where genetic counseling can help you figure out those numbers and make an informed decision. But that 25% figure is the key one.
Yeah, definitely. So, for example, I have a friend who has SMA type 3. He has SMA type 3. And he actually has a beautiful baby girl, and she doesn't have SMA. So I want to share with you guys, that just because someone has SMA doesn't mean that you can't have children. No, you can have children. And although just because you have SMA doesn't necessarily mean that your child will also have SMA. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just, I just want to be transparent as much as possible. But yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a really important message to share. Just because someone has SMA doesn't mean they can't have a family or that their children will definitely have SMA. It's all about understanding the genetics, having those conversations with healthcare providers, and knowing that with the right support, it's definitely doable. So thanks for sharing that real life example. It really brings it home.
And it says for pregnant individuals with SMA, it says increased complications. Pregnancy can worsen existing SMA symptoms, with studies showing higher rates, of preterm birth, C-sections, and fatigue, requiring a supportive care team. And it says an ideal team includes obstetricians, neurologists, respiratory specialists, and genetics to manage maternal and fetal health. Future care says mothers with SMA must also plan for the physical challenges of childcare, seeking help from family, friends, and healthcare providers. Simply because if you have SMA, it's going to be a lot more difficult. Where if you need assistance, right, your child is going to need assistance. So, in terms of thinking long term for your family, you have to really, really plan and really plan out, okay, like what's going to happen after and not just be so much in the moment. Now that a child's involved, you have to really, really think about you really, really have to think about the future and the quality of life for your child. So for example, like I'll use me as an example is I'm working on a lot of different stuff. So I'm working on a lot of different things, right? So, I personally am focused on what I'm building, what I'm working on, what I'm creating. So that way, when I can put myself in a certain position, then I can go out and find a relationship or be open to finding someone, right? And then, hypothetically, if I ended up becoming a father, if it's in the divine cards, then I would make sure, okay, I have my care team, I have certain things aligned. For example, I'm working on my craft. I want to have a team around me available 24/7. Team that, that helps get me in and out of bed, helps me helps me do everything that I need to keep the quality of life, get in and out of bed, use the restroom, shower, bathing, traveling, because and where I'm headed, there's going to be traveling involved, and all of these things. So I'm working on putting myself in a certain position where I can create those opportunities, right? But then once I hit a certain milestone, then I'm gonna be open to, okay, let me go look for a partner, let me go and find my partner, and I find my significant other, right? And we happen to have a child, then I would make sure, before anything, before I became a father, right, I'd make sure I'm in the very position financially, and also I'm in the very position to give the child as much quality of life as much as possible. In terms of, okay, dad's taken care of, which is me, right? He's taken care of. Mom's taken care of, meaning, the house is provided for, there's food on the table, everything's taken care of, And now that a child's involved, now I would have to even think even much longer term, where if my child has SMA or has other health complications, I have to make sure I'm in the very financial position or in the position in general to make sure, can I give that child quality of life? Can I provide medication or treatment or surgeries or anything needed for that child if it ever did come up to that point? And that's just personally how I think. I think extremely long term, and I kind of think I try to think about every single angle and aspect. And but that's just personally for me. But for an ordinary individual, if you have SMA, just don't think so much in the moment and be very mindful with the quality of life you are going to give that child. And also, if you don't have SMA, right, and you are having children, like you should have that same mentality. where can I care for that individual? Can I take care? Can I not take care of that individual, but can I take care of my baby? Can I give my baby the best quality of life possible? Right? Are you in the financial position to care for that child? Are you in the position to really provide shelter and warmth and nurturing and love and care and protection, for that child? And thinking that aspect as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a really thoughtful and valuable perspective to share, Victor. It's really about that long-term mindset. Whether someone has SMA or not, it's about thinking ahead and considering what support structures and resources you need to have in place so that you can give any child the best possible quality of life. And like you said, that applies to anyone thinking about parenthood. It's not just about the immediate moment, it's about the future and making sure you're ready to handle whatever comes along. So I think that's a great note to end on. It's all about planning, support, and making thoughtful decisions for your family's future.
Absolutely. I think this was but this was a really, really good episode. I'm trying to switch my camera angle here. This was a good episode. I wanted to make this video because I think I see it a lot. I even get asked this often too, and it's nothing wrong with it. It's a question. It's a genuine question where people are like, can you have kids? Or some people just think because you're in a wheelchair, you can't have kids, right? But that's entirely far from anywhere being near the truth. I wanted to make this video because if you have SMA, I want you to know the possibilities and also to spread SMA awareness in terms of, hey, it is possible I could be a dad. It is possible I could be a mother. And, but just think a little bit more longer term as well, Like I said, I have a good friend of mine who has a beautiful, healthy baby girl, amazing family, and it's extremely possible, He's a great dad. He's very supportive. He has a great, loving wife, and it's a beautiful family. So I want you to share that story as well to show you that it's possible. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, please like the video, comment down below. Did you or did you not know that someone with SMA can have children? And if you are new, please subscribe to the channel. We are so close to reaching 100 subscribers just on this YouTube channel alone. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And as always, remember, grow through what you go through. Much love.